The album Cowboys From Hell, released in 1990, and the title track of the same name marked the biggest turning point in Pantera's history. This song signaled the birth of groove metal and drastically changed Pantera's image from an 80s glam metal band into one of the most influential heavy music icons in the world. The inspiration for the song title came from local humor and a ton of confidence. One night in 1989, Pantera was at a wild party in Fort Worth, Texas. The bassist, Rex Brown, went to the bathroom and accidentally saw graffiti scrawled on the wall that said Cowboys From Hell. Rex told guitarist Dimebag Darrell, back then still called Dimebag Diamond, and vocalist Phil Anselmo about it. They immediately loved the phrase because it represented who they were. Four guys from Texas cowboy country playing heavy, aggressive music with raw energy, like they were from hell. The super iconic opening guitar riff for Cowboys From Hell was created by Dimebag Darrell in a unique way. At the time, Pantera was playing tons of shows at local clubs in Texas. Dimebag would often make loud, screeching noises on his guitar just to mess with or startle clubgoers who were drinking at the bar. It was from that habit of freaking out the crowd with high-pitched technical notes that Dimebag refined his finger movements until he came up with that fast, repetitive, and super distinctive riff pattern. When he played that riff in the rehearsal room, Rex Brown and drummer Vinnie Paul immediately jumped in with a heavy rhythm that helped lock in the song's structure. The unique sound in the intro of Cowboys From Hell, that weird, high-pitched roaring noise, like a jet engine or a siren turning on right before the main riff kicks in, has a really interesting technical story and experiment behind how it was made. A lot of people think that intro sound was made with a synthesizer or a digital sample. In reality, that sound was 100% created analog by Dimebag Darrell and producer Terry Date through some crazy studio experiments. Here are the details behind how that unique intro sound was created. 1. Looped harmonic squeal using analog tape. The bass of that intro sound is actually a guitar technique Dimebag had mastered. The pinched harmonic or natural harmonic yanked with the whammy bar on his Floyd Rose to make it scream. Dimebag picked one super high harmonic note on his Dean ML guitar, then worked the whammy bar up and down so it sounded like a siren or a mechanical scream. 2. Terry Date's tape manipulation trick. Back in 1989 to 1990, recording technology didn't use digital software like Pro Tools yet. They were still using 24-track analog tape. Producer Terry Date and Dimebag wanted that squealing sound to repeat with a perfect, hypnotic rhythm. Since it was hard to pick the exact same harmonic over and over by hand, Terry Date recorded Dimebag's best harmonic scream onto a piece of magnetic tape. Terry then cut that tape and spliced it together to form a loop. He ran that tape loop on the tape machine to create a constant pulsing, spinning sound effect. 3. Backward or reverse tape effect. To add an eerie, futuristic vibe, Terry Date didn't just play the tape loop forward. He flipped the tape around and played it backward. That made the tail end of the guitar squeal come in quiet and then swell up fast, creating that signature sucking in effect right before the drums and main guitar hit and shocked the listener. 4. Manual flanger and wah-wah experiment. While the analog tape was playing backward and looping, Dimebag and Terry Date ran the sound through an MXR flanger pedal and a wah-wah pedal. Dimebag would turn the knobs on the effects by hand on the studio console during the mixing process to change the sound's frequency in real time. The final result of this all-manual, no-computer experiment was an iconic intro that instantly told listeners they were about to hear something new, dangerous, and unlike anything in heavy metal before. Before the album Cowboys From Hell, Pantera released 4 independent albums with a glam/hair metal vibe, complete with tight clothes and big teased hair. But when Phil Anselmo joined as vocalist in 1987, he brought in a much heavier influence bands like Slayer, Metallica, and Exhorder. When they started working on Cowboys From Hell, they decided to completely throw away their glam metal identity. This song became Pantera's official statement to the music industry that they had been reborn. The lyrics, written by Phil Anselmo, describe the arrival of a new force ready to take over the live music world. Comin' at you live, 321. We're talking over this town. Cowboys From Hell sounds super solid, but getting it released wasn't easy for Pantera. They recorded the demo for the song in Vinnie Paul and Dimebag Darrell's home studio in Pontego, Texas. Pantera sent that demo to dozens of major record labels in Los Angeles and New York, but almost all of them turned it down. Pantera's music was considered too heavy for the glam metal era that was still dominating the market, but also too groovy compared to straight-up thrash metal. Pantera's fate changed completely because of a freak twist of nature. Mark Ross, an AVER rep from Atco Records, was on a flight to somewhere else when a massive storm forced his plane to make an emergency landing in Texas. While he was stuck in Texas, Mark Ross decided to spend his time checking out Pantera at a local club on a friend's recommendation. That night, Pantera played Cowboys From Hell. Blown away by their stage energy and Dimebag Darrell's guitar skills, Mark Ross called his boss that same night and said they had to sign this band immediately. The mix of pure luck, industry rejection, and the guts to completely reinvent their sound made Cowboys From Hell more than just a song. It was the driving force that saved Pantera from obscurity and put them at the top of metal history. Aside from those well-known facts, there are some technical details, internal dynamics, and unique events behind Cowboys From Hell that rarely get covered in mainstream media. 1. Discovering the razor-blade guitar tone with a cheap amp. A lot of guitarists think Dimebag Darrell's super sharp and legendary guitar tone on this song came from expensive tube amps. In reality, Dimebag created the signature Cowboys From Hell sound using an affordable solid-state Randall amp, the RG100ES. He paired it with an MXR 6-band EQ pedal with the mid-frequencies scooped out completely, and the high, treble, and low bass frequencies cranked all the way up. That technique gave him a razor-blade tone that was sharper than anything heard in metal at the time. 2. Vinnie Paul's drum beat inspired by military drills. Behind the fast guitar riff, Vinnie Paul's drum pattern on the intro and verses used super tight, precise double kick that locked in perfectly with Rex Brown's bass. Vinnie said in an old interview that he specifically designed the drum pattern for Cowboys From Hell to sound like a line of soldiers marching. Vinnie's goal was to make the song feel like an unstoppable army marching to take over the town. 3. House of Hooligans and the studio crowd vocals. The aggressive gang vocals you hear on the track weren't just Phil Anselmo or the band members. During recording at Pantego Sound Studio, Pantera invited close friends, road crew, and their drinking buddies dubbed the Valhalla Crew or House of Hooligans. They all crowded around one studio mic while drinking to lay down background screams that sounded real, raw, and full of anger. 4. Producer Terry Date challenging Phil Anselmo's singing style. Legendary producer Terry Date, known for Soundgarden and Deftones, was brought in to work on the album, and he clashed with Phil Anselmo at first. Phil was really into underground thrash/hardcore at the time and originally wanted to sing using full-on growls and barks. But Terry Date saw Phil's massive vocal potential and pushed him to keep those high-pitched metal screams from the 80s too, like the soaring melodies in the bridge and outro of Cowboys From Hell. That mix of harsh yelling and soaring high notes is what made the vocals on that song so unique. 5. The song almost wasn't the album title. The execs at Atco Records originally thought Cowboys From Hell was too extreme, too cliché, or could cause controversy in more conservative parts of America. They even suggested a safer album title. But all 4 members of Pantera refused and threatened to walk away from the release if they changed the song and album title, because that song was the core statement of who they were.